I had watched the group of girls get into the water. And I kind of said to myself, wow, they're getting pretty far out there for these waves. That looks a little dangerous. And I was just sitting in the sand and watching my kiddos play splash. And I happened to look over and see the girl's arms waving. And I immediately, my heart dropped. I knew that they were in trouble right away. I just had that feeling that something was going to happen. So I immediately jumped up and pulled my kids out of the water and was like, you stay right here, don't move. And I ran out onto the pier. They could not even keep their heads above the water at that point. So I called 911 immediately, but it was so windy and so the waves were so loud that I couldn't hear a thing. And I don't think that they could hear me. So I knew that if I waited to see if they could hear me, to try to get them to hear me, that those kids were going to drown. So I just hoped that they could hear me screaming into the phone what was going on. And I set my phone down next to me. And I knew that I needed to do something or it was going to be too late. I pretty much immediately got down on my stomach and reached over the edge of the pier. And I was trying to guide them to a rock that was pretty close by in hopes that maybe they could hang on to it. And then it would be a little bit easier for them to maybe prop themselves up and I could reach them. The waves were really big and smashing into them and smashing into myself. So that was not working. So my best option was to just grab their hand if I could and pull with everything I had. And there was several times that I would get them partway up and a wave would come and hit us and knock them back down. So it took a few tries for each kid. And one of the girls had looked at me at one point and she said, I'm going to die. And I think that was my adrenaline boost right there. Cause I looked at her and I said, I am not going to let you die out here. I'm going to get you out of this water. I promise. And that seemed to be my turning point right there. I yanked them up the side of the pier, each one. And then after everybody was up onto the pier and I made sure everybody was okay, we ran back around and the fourth girl was close enough to shore that we were able to go in together and help her out. I think it's the mama bear instinct, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't do anything any different. It was just like, there was no hesitation. I jumped up. I did exactly what I needed to do. I knew if I waited, those kids probably weren't going to live. They were very shaken up. Everybody was crying. I was crying. There was a lot of tears and hugs shared and endless thank yous. I think there was some cuts and scrapes. I was scraped up. Baby looks great. I had been laying on my stomach on the pier and half me was hanging over. So once the adrenaline wore off, I started to feel the aches and pains. So I just went and got looked at to be sure. I don't feel like it was a coincidence that I, chose to go to the beach, even though I was considering not going. And that I chose that side of the beach that I never take my kids to. I just thought that I feel like I was meant to be there. I'm getting, messages constantly, texts and calls. And I appreciate every single comment and share and message. Everybody's been really kind. I don't know how to handle it. It's wild. It's a very crazy feeling to know that, someone's here and breathing because of you. And I'm just really thankful that I was put there that day and able to save them.